Yes, friends, postmortem changes is today's topic. But before that, we need to discuss about like just a brief revision about last class. What was taught to you was uh, death, right? So it was what definition and types of death, what was the classification, and how to calculate time since death. And now in today's class we will be dealing with changes after death. So as have been taught to you, death is total irreversible cessation of cerebral function, spontaneous respiratory system and circulatory system, and medical legal study of death falls within the unit of forensic science. And also in previous class, this is just the revision. So somatic death is commonly encountered with the soma, matlab death of the organs. So due to complete and irreversible cessation of vital function, which is brain initially, followed by heart and lungs, is we can call as somatic death. And this is the thing which will determine that death has occurred, and this is also called as signs of somatic death, that is immediate signs of death, जिसमें what we will see is loss of EEG rhythm. So continuous EEG rhythm is seen, ECG rhythm. So for 5 minutes, if you are getting a straight line, not a curve of ECG, then it is definite that the death has occurred. And another thing is cessation of respiration, where you will not hear the breath sound. And there are certain tests to determine what are the signs of stoppage of respiration. Like if you try to breathe and if feather or paper doesn't move, that means person is not breathing. If you auscultate, if you cannot see, if you cannot hear the sounds of breathing, then also it is confirmed. And the most confirmatory is ECG. ECG for 5 minutes, if it is like blunt line, then it is confirmed. So EEG, ECG, and respiration. So three vital functions are dead, and this can be determined from this. And then the next stage of destruction occurs when the cellular or molecular death occur. So after somatic death, the tissue and cells survive for varying period depending on the oxygen which is available in the body. When these individual tissues and cells die, it is termed as cellular molecular death, and it is generally completed in 3 to 4 hours of somatic death. So the changes start of molecular death in within 3 or like more than 2 to 3 hours after death. That is somatic death. So when molecular death starts, we call them early signs of death, right? So in these, changes in skin, changes in eyes, cooling of the body, rigor mortis, cadaveric spasm are the changes which we categorize in early signs of death. So if we want to see the changes in detail, early signs of death are seen in skin. We will see this with the color changes which are there. Eyes, 2-3 signs are there which we will be studying. Post-mortem staining, the cadaveric changes in muscle in which primary relaxation, secondary relaxation, which will be followed by rigor mortis. Rigor mortis pehle, then afterwards secondary relaxation. Cooling of the body. And what are the late postmortem changes? Decomposition, which is the alternatively termed as putrefaction. Adipocere formation, which is the modification of decomposition, and mummification, it is also modification of decomposition. So these are the late postmortem changes. So starting with the early changes, and that too starting with skin. What happens to the skin after death? There is loss of elasticity. It becomes within few time, like within half an hour or 1 hour, it started becoming pale and ash white in color. tattoo marks are not affected, and antemortem wounds will be remaining like that. So you can determine the cause or a manner of death also. The next change you can see in the eyes. Like, in clinical posting, you will be learning about how to elicit the reflexes of cornea and pupillary. So like light reflex, where pupils dilate and constrict, right? On giving light to the eyes, the pupils start constricting, that is light reflex for pupil. And corneal reflexes, like if you put the wisp of cotton, there is blinking of the eyes, that is called as corneal reflex. So these reflexes are not seen after death. And after 1 hour, what happens if you like immediately if you put atropine drops, pupil will react. But after 1 hour, pupil won't react to any drug, either pilocarpine or atropine, whatever drugs to react, causing dilatation or constriction, that won't happen. Then 2 hours, what will develop? Corneal opacity and clouding because of the exposed eyeball, or even if it is not exposed, then clouding will be seen. And more than 3 hours, if time has passed, then there is one change which is called as tachynoris scleroticus. तो tachynoris sclerotic ऐसे भी बोल सकते हैं, tachynoris sclerotic, तो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द प्रोनाउंसिएशन, जैसे जैसे लोग जहां जहां जाते हैं वैसे उसको प्रोनाउंस करते हैं. तो व्हाट इज दिस tachynoris scleroticus? It is the triangular bridge which has formed between the cornea and the angle of eye. So on both sides, medial and lateral, both sides, you see the triangular thing, brownish, reddish brown in color, which is because of the exposed or because of the post-mortem changes which are occurring in the body. Then the next change is in early part is hypostasis, post-mortem staining, or post-mortem lividity. So these are the alternative terminologies you should remember, because in exam you may be asked whether it is like describe post-mortem staining, how will you calculate time since death? What is post-mortem lividity? What are the factors affecting it? What is the post-mortem hypostasis? Write the difference between congestion and bruise. So these are the terminologies given to one thing, that is staining, right? Post-mortem staining, or it is post-mortem hypostasis, or it is post-mortem lividity. So these are the synonyms. So what is this? This is reddish purple or bluish discoloration of skin and organs due to accumulation of blood in toneless capillaries and small veins in dependent parts due to gravity. Have you understood this? Because the body is lying in one place, whether it is lying or standing or sitting, whatever position was there at the time of death. What happens? The capillaries which are drained in the body, right, which are running, which were running blood, right? So when death has occurred, this capillaries are running towards gravity. So wherever the skin was dependent, wherever the body was dependent, the capillaries start accumulating blood in that area. Accumulation of blood in toneless capillaries and small veins, right? So in that area, you will see the bluish or reddish purple discoloration because of the stagnation, right? So how does it develop? Like it initially starts with mottled patches, which starts appearing from 1/2 to 1 hour. You can see in the photograph, like initially, like dependent part. See, when we are talking about dependent part, it doesn't cover the portion which is in contact with the surface, any surface, right? It can be bed or floor, or it can be anything. So apart from that contact surface, the skin or the body area, the part which is lying independently, having gravitational force on that area. In that area, you will see the red colored patches, and rest of the area which was in contact with the floor will have the pale area. There you won't see the staining part, right? So in the dependent part, you will see the mottled patches initially within half to 1 hour, and then slowly it will grow in size, and patches gradually fuse in about 3 hours, and they are fully developed in 6 to 12 hours, and they become fixed in 6 to 8 hours. So how do you see the fixing? When we say that postmortem lividity is fixed, so what will you do? Blanching test. Here you can see the person is pressing his thumb on one portion, and afterwards it is seen that the area where thumb was placed is pale in color and the surrounded area is reddish purple in color. So this is called as non-fixing of postmortem lividity, means it is slowly developing and it is not fixed. So if it is not fixed, that means death has not crossed more than 8 hours. It is 6 to 8 hours which has been passed after death, because the postmortem lividity is not fixed. It is absent in areas of contact flattening. So this is, you can see the picture where in hands he has some reddish purple discoloration, and in thighs in some areas there is reddish purple discoloration. Now after looking at this picture, you can see that the body is now shifted, because initially this body must have been in prone, semi-prone position, where his lateral side of the thigh was in contact with the floor and rest of the body was having dependent position. That's why the reddish purple discoloration you can see in the dependent part. So how do you differentiate between the hypostasis and congestion? As you know that congestion is also accumulation of blood and hypostasis is also accumulation of blood. But what is the difference? Difference is hypostasis is after death and congestion is because of the antemortem phenomena. Antemortem phenomena in the sense, like if asphyxia was there, or if shock was there, or if sudden something has happened in the body, then in that area there will be congestion. So how do you differentiate between the accumulation of blood after death and accumulation of because of congestion? So in hypostasis, if you give cut on the surface, you will see that if you remove the stagnated blood, you will see the mucous membrane below the congestion, below the accumulation will be pale. There won't be any exudate from the organs, because in organs also hypostasis develop and congestion is also there in the organ. Okay, so when you give the cut section, the area of hypostasis will be patchy or in the dependent portion only, but congestion will be in the entire area, because it is because of the blockage of capillaries, right? So congestion will not be limited to the dependent or gravitational area, right? So this is one major difference. Another difference is when you wipe off the blood, you will see the pale area. In congestion, you won't see that because it is already established and it cannot be removed. And blanching of pressure, when blanching test we had done in hypostasis, this will not be positive in case of congestion. This will not show anything. So another difference you should know is between postmortem lividity and bruise. As you all know what is bruise. Maybe your injury chapter is not over, so you may not define it correctly. But in layman terminology, you know that bruise or contusion is the injury caused by blunt force, which can cause accumulation of blood beneath the skin. So bruise is like defined in certain way. In coming chapter you will see that, but here you just briefly understand that it is accumulation of blood underneath the skin because of the damage to capillaries because of blunt force trauma. So that also seen as bluish purple discoloration, and hypostasis is also bluish in color. So we need to differentiate that. So what we, again, the areas like in congestion and hypostasis, we had seen that hypostasis is developed in dependent part only, right? But bruise is there where impact of force is there, where the injury was caused, where the impact of blunt force trauma was there. So there you will see the bruise. And in case of hypostasis, it will be the dependent part. Now, sometimes what happens, dependent part and the trauma area are both same. In that, what we will see, well-defined edges are there in hypostasis. However, in bruise, it will have ill-defined edges, or the edges causing pattern of that particular object, like a stick or like hammer. Those things you will see in that particular area. If it is not, then ill-defined edges are there. And when you give the cut section, in case of hypostasis, you will not see the oozing of blood. In case of bruises, blood escapes to the capillaries. And hypostasis is superficial. However, bruises are deep into the skin. The more the force of impact, the bruise will be deeper, right? So it is, hypostasis is on the same level of the surface. However, bruise will, as you all know, that inflammation, like after injury, what are the stages of inflammation? Swelling, rubor, tumor, dollar, color, that is the antemortem phenomena. So you will see that the skin is little bit lifted, swelling is there, and because like temperature and redness, etc., it is the antemortem changes. But here you can at least see the raised surface of the skin. And when you give pressure, blanching test will be positive in case of hypostasis. However, bruises में ये हम नहीं कर पाएंगे, right? So this is the difference between hypostasis and bruise. So what is the medico-legal importance of postmortem staining? It defines the position of the body, because if you change the position, then you will see that only dependent part will have the stagnation of blood, and by that you can determine like कहीं और उसको मारा गया था, फिर वहां से लेके कहीं और लेके गया है ना, और जब मरे थे तब किस पोजीशन में रहा होगा, फिर क्या हुआ होगा, दैट यू कैन डिटरमाइन. टाइम्स डेथ लाइक फिक्स्ड अगर है या नहीं है, कहाँ तक पहुंची है, पैची है, मॉटल्ड है, कंप्लीट बॉडी पे है या कहाँ पे, मतलब बॉडी कंप्लीट बॉडी पे मतलब डिपेंडेंट एरिया पे है, फिक्स्ड है या नहीं है, उससे हम टाइम सिंस डेथ पता कर सकते हैं. एंड ऑल्सो मैनर ऑफ डेथ कैन बी seen by looking at the color of the postmortem lividity. Like even cause of death can be determined by color of the lividity. Carbon monoxide, these are some examples. There are many more examples. But in case of carbon monoxide poisoning, it will be of cherry red in color. And in case of cyanide poisoning, it is brick red in color. And when exposure to cold is there, then it is cherry red in color. In cases of asphyxia, it is deeply bluish or violet or purple in color. So you should remember this, because this you will be asked in Viva also, in short questions, and you get the long question on postmortem staining in your exam. And also this is very important practically when you examine the body. And whenever the body is brought to you, it is very important to examine it in daylight, because initially the period is very crucial and you need to know what is the time passed, what is the cause of death, what is the manner of death. So in that case, postmortem staining is very important. So this was all about postmortem lividity, hypostasis or staining. The next change in early postmortem changes is algor mortis. Algor, that is stand for cooling. So algor mortis or postmortem cooling are synonyms, and you will be asked any one of them. You should not get confused between the terminologies. What happens? Body loses heat until it reaches temperature of its surrounding. Heat by convection, conduction, you know, in physics, you must have studied in your 10th, 8th, 12th. So until it reaches to the surrounding temperature, it will lose heat. Temperature recorded by inserting a chemical thermometer, which is 25 centimeter long. Thermometer is 25 centimeter long. It is also called as rectal thermometer. And this thermometer is kept under liver for 2 to 3 minutes to see the temperature. And it also helps in estimating time since death. The body temperature reaches atmospheric temperature in about 12 to 18 hours. So generally by rule, 12 घंटे में जो है postmortem cooling हो जानी चाहिए. But if the area is hot or climate is a little hotter in that area, then the body temperature may take 18 hours to reach that level of surrounding temperature. So what can be the other factors modifying cooling of the body? Difference in temperature between body and surrounding. So if it is lesser, like if the person was having in freezing area, if the body was kept, then it will become cooler very soon. But if the person was suffering from fever, then it may take some time to get adjusted to the surrounding. The physics of the cadaver or build of the person, if surface area is more and he was having more than average build, then it will take some more time than the thin built person. The body temperature, the environment of the body. If the person, what I said initially, if it was warm initially, he was having fever, then it will take some more time. And if the person was having already cold skin because of shock, then it will take very less time to get body cooler. What is postmortem caloricity? Postmortem caloricity is increase in temperature of the body because of the available ATPs and other metabolites in the body, which will cause raised temperature before starting cooling of the body. So that is called as postmortem caloricity. Temperature rise observed for the first 2 hours or so in bodies after death from excessive bacterial activity. Regulation of heat production if it is disturbed before death, and there is great increase in heat production in muscles before death, that will cause postmortem caloricity. The other changes which you will see in cadaver is the muscular changes. So what you have seen till date, we have seen immediate signs of death, we have seen early signs of death. In early signs of death, we had seen algor mortis, that is postmortem cooling, and postmortem staining. Now we are coming to muscular changes. In that, we have initially primary relaxation, or you can call flaccidity of the muscle. So this denotes somatic death, and it lasts for 2 to 3 hours. It is characterized by relaxation of joints, contact flattening, and muscles respond to external stimuli. So when you see the cadaver, initially, as you all know, कि immediately जब body के dead body जब रहती है, तो it is in the relaxation stage. Like if you sleep, आपने देखा होगा कि बच्चे को अपन जो है नींद में, या आप भी जो है जब नींद आ जाती है तब बाजू वाले पर्सन जो है वो भारी भारी लगने लगते हो, because you get relaxed and you can't carry your own weight, and the person opposite feels the because of the relaxation. You can see like contact flattening areas you can see, and muscle at this point of time, within 2 to 3 hours, muscle respond to external stimuli. And then there starts developing rigor mortis. So like in this position, the body was lying, and what is rigor mortis is stiffening of muscle fibers, and there is physicochemical process, that is ATP reduction, which is occurring, and it involves voluntary and involuntary muscles. It first appears in involuntary muscles, like for example myocardium. Involuntary muscles are there in where? Heart, your, wherever the organs are functioning on its own. You must have seen in physiology first year that involuntary muscles are there in the body, which they are involved first. So within 1 to 2 hours, the rigor mortis is developed in those areas. Like heart, it keeps on beating, so rigor mortis develops first there. Eyes जो ब्लिंक करते रहते हैं, सो वहां पे रिगर मॉर्टिस आपको पहले मिल जाएगा. एंड अदर वेयर ऑटोमेटिक कॉन्ट्रैक्शन रिलैक्सेशन कीप्स ऑन डूइंग, एंड देन so what happens in involuntary muscles? The sequence is proximodistal, like hands, feet, जो है तो उसमें क्या होगा, पहले फिंगर्स से स्टार्ट होगा और फिर जो है वो फोर आर्म्स शोल्डर तक, है ना. तो नीचे भी फुट में आपके टोज से स्टार्ट होगा एंड देन इट विल गो अपवर्ड्स. So proximodistal is the sequence of rigor mortis in case of voluntary, and it disappears in the same order in which it appeared. So you can test the rigor mortis by bending the joint. If joint is easily bent, then it has not set up. But if while bending, if there is breaking occurs, you can feel the breaking of the joint, then of course it was because rigor mortis was developed and it has broken now. But if you can easily move the joint, then rigor mortis hasn't set up. So this diagram you must have seen, first one in physiology, that is myosin actin filaments causing, this is normal position, this is relaxed position where actin and myosin are in their own spaces. In contracted muscle, myosin and actin muscles are getting into each other, that is in contraction stage. And what happens in rigor mortis? This remains in contraction stage and it becomes again shrinked, and it is not separable now at this stage. In normal condition, relaxation and contraction keeps on happening. But in case of rigor mortis, once it is contracted, it is fixed and it is called as rigor mortis. So how does it appear? So here it starts after 2 to 3 hours after death in case of summer, है ना. विंटर में जो है उसको may be developed earlier. Whole body is stiff in 12 hours and it remains stiff for another 12 hours and it starts disappearing in about 18 to 24 hours, है ना. तो जैसे जैसे डिकम्पोजिशन सेट होना चालू होता है वैसे वैसे राइगर मोर्टिस जो है वो बाहर मतलब खत्म होने लगता है. सो इसका जो डेवलपमेंट चालू होगा, अपन 2-2 को अगर ध्यान में रखते हैं, 2-12 है ना, तो पहले जो है ऑनसेट जो है 2 घंटे में चालू होगा, पूरे बॉडी में स्टिफनेस आने के लिए 12 घंटे लग जाएंगे और बॉडी वैसी ही स्टिफ कंडीशन में रहेगी 12 घंटे तक. मतलब अगर आपने एग्जामिन किया बॉडी को और पूरी बॉडी अगर आपको स्टिफ लग रही है, ऑल ओवर द बॉडी एंटायरली इक्वली स्टिफ, then it is more than 12 hours. If it is in some areas like hands and feet are stiff and arms are not stiff, like elbow joint or knee joint are not stiff, then it is in the development process, less than 12 hours, right? But if all the body areas are stiff, then it is more than 12 hours. And when you can see some changes of decomposition, and apart from that also there is some stiffness and some areas don't have stiffness, That means it is started disappearing and it is now 18 to 24 hours. Initially, when there is no stiffness and no decomposition changes, that means it is earlier stage of death. What happens if rigor mortis is developed? Joints are fixed markedly. There is appearance like goose skin, where erection of hair fiber is there, and erector pili muscles are there. So erector pili is also a muscle, right? So if it is in the constricted stage, it will cause erection on skin of the hair fiber, and if there is no hair fiber, you will see the skin as if it is like a goose, right? So this is the appearance you can see. And also because of the muscle stiffness, there is discharge of semen, because and there you can see the position of the limbs in lower picture, that because of the stiffness the position remains the same. Now, what are the conditions which can affect rigor mortis? It is the age, muscles of the person, and in what nature or mode death has occurred, and the atmospheric condition. Agar bachcha hai, lesser muscles are there, so rigor mortis will develop faster. Adult hai, average build hai, and stronger person hai, so it will develop little bit delayed. And if old person is there, thinner body is there, then it will cause development of rigor mortis earlier. If the muscles were in contracted stage, like if you were running, so calf muscles were in the active stage, so rigor mortis will develop there first, है ना. टेटनस अगर हुआ था तो टेटनस में क्या होता है कि बॉडी को जो है वो कन्वल्जेंस आते रहते हैं, तो ऐसे समय में क्या होगा, rigor mortis उस जगह पे जहाँ पे कॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन ऑलरेडी चल रहा था वहां पे पहले डेवलप होगा, उसके बाद फिर दूसरी जगह पे आना चालू होगा. सो डिपेंडिंग ऑन द मस्कुलर कंडीशन, नेचर और मोड ऑफ डेथ, नेचर नेचुरल है या अननेचुरल है. Like if there was natural death, that person was lying on the bed and suffering with heart failure or liver failure or something or the other diseases, then the rigor mortis will set up as per our 12 hours rule. But if the death was unnatural, accident or suicide or homicide, so depending on the mode, the rigor mortis will be different. What is the mode of death? In last class we already have discussed. Like modes are coma, syncope, asphyxia. So what was the organ involved at that particular time when the death was occurring? So that will define mode of death. So first, if heart was stopped, then it will be called as syncope. If the brain was stopped, then coma was the mode of death. And if first the respiratory system was stopped, then it is asphyxia. So if the person was suffocating or was asphyxiated, either it is accidentally or suicidal or homicidal, right? So if it is homicidal, the person will try to resist to the asphyxia, right? And in that case, if his hands were involved holding the shirt or anything which is available at that moment of time, then the muscles which are involved at that time will develop rigor mortis first. And the atmospheric condition, where the temperature is very low, in that case rigor mortis will develop earlier. So what is the medico-legal importance of rigor mortis? It can estimate time of death, as we have said, like 2 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours, 12 hours, right? So that is the just hypothetical calculation we did, but depending on the body, it will be varying. But 12 to 18 hours, like we can take into consideration. Position of the body at the time of death. So जिस पोजीशन में बॉडी को रखा गया था, उसी पोजीशन में उसका rigor mortis डेवलप होते होते वो वैसे ही आपको दिखाई देगा, तो हमको सीन ऑफ क्राइम पे जो है पता चल जाएगा कि वो कैसा फैक्टर था जब वो डेथ हुई थी. रेगर मॉर्टिस के जैसे और कौन सी चीजें होती है जो दिखती है, वो है कैडेवरिक स्पाज्म, cold stiffening and heat stiffening. So cadaveric spasm is the instantaneous rigor. Instantaneous rigor मतलब कि immediately जो है उस मसल को जो है उसी पोजीशन में वो स्टिफ हो जाती है immediately after death. So it is antemortem muscular contraction which continues after death, right? So it occurs in rapid death, which is sudden, and or emotional tension at the time of death, or great muscular activity at the time of death. So like in the photograph, first photograph, you can see the person is holding some grass like structure in his hand or her hand. So this is fist. You can see in that position only there was stiffness. So this suggests that the person was struggling at that moment. So it is most probably drowning if it is in the water, right? So this is one thing. And in next picture, you can see the position of opisthotonus. And here, maybe the person was in strychnus poisoning case or tetanus, like that. So this position develops, and at the time of death, this remains like this. And here in cadaveric spasm, there is no primary relaxation. Only voluntary muscles are involved. Cannot be produced artificially. Cadaveric spasm records last act of life and may be helpful in indicating manner of death. Manner, what are the manners of death? Whether it is accidental, suicidal, or homicidal. Like again, revision, mode of death, manner of death, nature of death. Nature of death, natural or unnatural. Mode of death, coma, syncope, asphyxia, triad of Bishop. And manner of death, accidental, suicidal, or homicidal. That can be determined. So cadaveric spasm indicates that at the time of death, it was in great muscular activity, emotional tension, and sudden death had occurred. This indicates that. So cadaveric, you have understood by this by now. So the difference between these two, rigor mortis and cadaveric spasm. As you know that cadaveric spasm is the instantaneous rigor. So time of onset, it is instantaneous in case of cadaveric spasm. In rigor mortis, there is stage of primary relaxation, that is flaccidity. Predisposing factors are muscular tension, emotional stress at the time of death in case of cadaveric spasm. And the muscles involved, like the muscles which were in activity, will develop rigor mortis first. So in that case, you need to differentiate between rigor mortis and cadaveric spasm. And in such situation, we need to examine the crime scene and other body surface areas to see whether it is cadaveric spasm or rigor mortis. And mechanism can be determined, and the medico-legal importance of both can be seen. So here in rigor mortis, onset is delayed after death, that is 2 to 3 hours is there. Approximately 12 to 24 hours will take to develop rigor mortis in the whole body. However, in cadaveric spasm, it is instantaneous within few hours, and then afterwards it can be replaced by rigor mortis. Intensity is moderate in case of comparatively rigor mortis, whether it is strong in case of cadaveric spasm. Mechanism of formation is a breakdown of ATP below critical level, and in case of rigor mortis, excitement, fear, fatigue, exhaustion, nervous tension, contraction of the muscles at the time of death is the mechanism in case of cadaveric spasm. And here in rigor mortis, all muscles of the body are affected gradually. In case of cadaveric spasm, selected muscles which were in state of contraction at the time of death are affected. So conditions which are mistaken as rigor mortis, one was cadaveric spasm and another is cold stiffening and heat stiffening. Cold stiffening is freezing. So because of the freezing temperature which the body was exposed to, will cause tissues to be frozen and stiff due to solidification of the body fats and fluids. However, in case of heat stiffening, it is also called as heat rigidity. Coagulation of muscle proteins due to exposure to temperature above 65 degrees Celsius will cause coagulation. And because of that, there will be stiffening in the muscles. And here rigor mortis will not develop. Body will remain in pugilistic attitude and stiffening will persist until decomposition sets in. So instead of having rigor mortis, the body will be in the stiff position because of the coagulation of muscle, like in burns that occurs in burns, there is heat stiffening. So next change is late changes in death. So we can, if you want, we can stop here. Further,